The Nebraska Unicameral is 2 weeks into its 2018 legislative session. Nebraska Extension's Dave Aiken says the debate around property tax reform for ag land has already begun. As we've told you previously, the per-farm average spent on real estate and personal property taxes in Nebraska is higher than in any other state measured by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That cost in 2016 was nearly $23,000 per operation, $9,600 more than California, the second most expensive state. This isn't the first time lawmakers have addressed relief. 2 years ago, they added money to the state's property tax credit program for ag land, but no major legislation passed last session. Dave joined us Tuesday to outline the significant bills now on the table.
We've got two serious proposals on the table, one from Senator Erdman that would cut property tax, issue a income tax credit for 30% of property tax payments, and the governor has a similar proposal that would be about half that.
First, tell me more about Erdman's proposal.
Okay, this is the one that is tied to the initiative petition that's also being circulated across the state, and it would basically, you would get a state of Nebraska income tax credit that would be refundable for half of the property taxes that you paid that went towards schools. Now, across the state, the average is 60% of property tax goes to K-12 education. So half of that would be 30%. So it's roughly, a credit for 30% of your property taxes paid.
Outline the governor's proposal.
Well, the governor's proposal takes a similar approach, but it would be 10% instead of 30%, but it would be 10% of your property taxes paid. It's also part of the governor's budget proposal, and there's income tax reductions and stuff associated with that as well.
So tell me how these two proposals compare or differ with each other.
Well, they both go through the state income tax credit system, so that's something that's new that we haven't seen before. In addition, the governor's is paid for in his budget proposal. So it's what they call revenue neutral. Under Senator Erdman's proposal, the legislature would have to would either have to make spending cuts or else would have to find out how to make up for the reduction in state revenue because of all the credits that would be given for the property taxes.
You mentioned this, but can you tell me more about the possible petition that could put this on the ballot?
You bet. The petition has been filed with the Secretary of State, so that petition process has been initiated, and it's basically Senator Erdman's bill. And if it were not, if people weren't happy with what happened to property taxes this year, they could get that put on the ballot, and then the people would have a chance to basically say, yes, we want to enact this as a statute. So it'd be a statute, not a constitutional amendment.
How do you think these efforts compare to previous efforts of property tax reform?
Well, there are some things that that have been talked about in the past in terms of how land is valued for agricultural purposes and things like that. I think those would all could be a part of the eventual outcome for this. But these are new approaches, and they're basically saying the old approach hasn't worked the way we wanted, so we're going to try something different.
Do you have a prediction as to how this plays out?
Well, I think it may be the major or one of the major topics for discussion in the legislature this year. The thing, if you're looking at property tax reform, you've got two proposals that are both very meaningful, and compared to what we've looked at in the past, not that far apart. So I think there may be more of an opportunity to try to find common ground on this than there has been in the past. But we've got some budget challenges, and so we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out.